Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
arrived. To demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. You ready for some information today? Because I've got a bunch I'm going to throw your way. Ready or not, it's coming your way. So I hope you're ready. Let's start off first of all with our information that we have about the daily energy, cosmic weather as I like to call it. Today is the 8th. So we have a sun sign in Cancer, which is the chariot in the tarot cards. We have a moon sign, which is making a transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius. So we're going from a water sign to a fire sign. Remember, fire is ideas, water is feelings, emotions, air are words and actions, and earth is form. So when you look at all of these different energies that are taking place on a daily basis, just kind of look at it as energy and think in your life. You have fire, you have water, you have air, and you use all those things to create earth. If you think of making some food, you take a pot, you put a pot on the stove, you turn the fire on, you put water into the pot, and then you put ingredients into the pot, and it boils or does whatever. Actions take place, activities, air, and when it's done, you have a form. You have something that you created using the fire, the water, the air. And of course, the unseen element is spirit, God. We put all that into the mix there, and we create. So on a daily basis, that's what's happening. Energies are being mixed all around you, and all we're doing is we're looking at them. We're seeing where's the fire, where's the water, where's the earth, where's the air, how are we mixing them together. So today we have, and for this past month leading on for the rest of this week and into next week, we have a water sign, which is our sun sign. Sun sign is our conscious mind, things we think about. So the things we think about, our conscious mind right now is dealing with issues that are emotional issues, issues that deal with our feelings. It's very important that we're aware of this because oftentimes in life, you know how there's arguments that occur. Arguments occur because people's buttons get pushed. The buttons that get pushed aren't intellectual buttons, they're emotional buttons. And when those emotional buttons get pushed, people start to have arguments. They act in different ways than they would when those buttons aren't being pushed. So therefore, to be aware of what your emotions are and your feelings so you don't get those buttons pushed, it's a very good thing. That is why you have the charioteer who represents the sign of Cancer was wearing armor. Armor to protect oneself from all of the emotions out there in the world. Cancer, the crab, which also is a symbol representative of the sign. What's a crab? It's a creature that has a hard shell to protect the soft inside from all of what's going on. So that is what's very important. We have a lot of emotional issues that are being put out into the world these days. We need to be aware of what they are and how they are affecting us so that we don't just fall prey to the different ways in which our buttons are being pushed. Now our unconscious mind makes change every roughly 2.5, 3 days. We make a change. So we've been in Scorpio, which has been a water sign as well. So the last couple of days we've been dealing with lots of feelings and emotions. Today we're making that transition on our unconscious mind, going from a water sign into a fire sign. We're going from Scorpio, which was deep hidden things, to Sagittarius, which represents truth, higher truth. It's a fire sign, which means we're going from our emotions to our ideas. Perhaps ideas that were born out of the emotions, because the emotions bring a lot to us. The reason they're used to push our buttons, and our buttons can get pushed, is they have so much within them. We feel emotional about things that we're doing in life. So now that we've taken those emotions, we've moved over into the idea of fire. Let's see how we can be creative about how we put these things in life. So what we're going for and what we're moving towards by the end of this day is an air sign, a fire sign for our subconscious mind. Our conscious mind is a water sign. So we have fire and water. We know how they work in life. Water can put out fire. Fire can create water to become steam. These two things have to work in harmony in order to work in the way that we want them to work. Just some things to think about as you go through. So with Sagittarius here, that doesn't happen till this evening. So the course of today, we're going to be dealing with the remnants of Scorpio. But we're coming out of that phase and that transition. So when we're in that transition, we don't necessarily feel everything from the Scorpio phase. We feel a little bit from this and a little bit of where we're going. We are dealing with, at 11:23 a.m., we have an aspect taking place between Uranus and the Sun. Our Sun sign, Cancer, is going to be at a square with unexpected changes. So let's just be aware for whatever changes might occur. It's certainly going to be something dealing with our emotions and our feelings. So just kind of pay attention as we get close to noon. See how your life is affected by the unexpected events around you. Later this afternoon, 5:32 p.m. Pacific time, the moon sign, which at that point is still Scorpio, is going to be in a trine with Jupiter, which is expansion. So the energy is starting to expand. Those ideas, those emotions are going to expand outward, but in a positive way. There's nice positive energy with the triangle. And then later this evening, the sun sign Cancer is going to be dealing with the idea of discipline, Saturn. Good positive sign. And then later we make that transition tonight, just shy of 8:30, 8:24 p.m. We move into the next sign, which is Sagittarius, where we're going to be for a couple of days. Okay. The numerology for today is the number 4. Let's see if you and I arrived at 4 the same way. 7 plus 8 plus the year 2014. So altogether we have a 22. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 is the number of order. 4 is the number of the Hierophant. We all are familiar with the number 4. It's about how things are ordered. 4 legs on a chair, 4 legs on a table. The cube has 4 sides. It's all about actually 6 sides, but 4 that go around it. A room, 4 walls. 4 is a number of supports, a number of order and organization. So we want to be aware of the organization that is inherent within what we're doing today. If we look at the tree of life, we see where the number 4 is, right here, the Hierophant, going from what we've learned back to the heart space. The sun sign is over here from what we've come to understand, going down into severity. The understanding is, as we could see here, the little symbol of Saturn. Here is the symbol of Mars. So the charioteer goes between Saturn and Mars, between discipline and severity. So it's got to be focused. That's why the armor is needed, because there's a lot that goes on, and the charioteer needs to be protected. We're all the charioteers, so we need to find the protection. And then our moon sign, we've been here in Scorpio, but we're going to go to this one here now, Sagittarius, the angel right here in the middle. Angel of Temperance, and that's one we're going to look at today. It's called Temperance. To this key is attributed the intelligence of probation or trial. This refers to the testing through which every aspirant must pass before it can reach the heights of initiation. Its object is to determine his temper or strength. Thus you see that temperance refers to the act of tempering, or the making of a properly balanced mixture. It has a distinct reference to equilibrium, for the initiate must be perfectly balanced with reference to all of the vehicles. He no longer goes to the extremes, but has mastery of the pairs of opposites, because he invariably chooses the middle path between two extreme courses of action. The rainbow represents the differentiation of light into color by means of water. The angel is androgynous and represents the higher self. He wears the symbol of solar energy upon his brow. The seven-pointed star in the breast represents the works of man, because the seven-sided figure cannot be drawn geometrically, but requires the aid of measuring tools. The fire from the torch falls upon the eagle, symbol of water, and the water from the vase falls upon the lion, symbol of fire. Thus we see a representation of the union of opposite forces in opposite directions. The twin mountain peaks are wisdom and understanding, and the crown above them represents primal will. The Hebrew letter is Samek, which means prop up. Okay, fire sign, number 14. The moon phase is just about to a full moon. We'll be there soon enough. Next couple days, we're 81% of the way there. This week, tonight, if we look up at the sky, here's our map. We're right here, so there's our moon sign. Tells us the moon's latest daily shift eastward brings it left of Saturn and upper right of Antares. At nightfall, closer below the moon, and Beta and Delta Scorpii are seen from North America. So we're going to look up. This is what you're going to see. So you'll see the moon. Look just below it. You'll see Scorpius. Saturn's up here, the upper right. On the Mayan Oracle, today's a 4-tone day. Again, look at the synchronicity. It's a 4 numerologically. And now we have a 4-tone with this system as well. It's about order. 4 is called the self-existing tone in this system, but it's the same idea, putting things in order. The monkey is the symbol for today. The guide is the hand. So today is the self-existing monkey guided by the hand. We could see our position here in this wave spell of the star. So we're at the 4th position. The star is about shining our beauty and our elegance. Today we're going to find that self-existing point within that, where that beauty and elegance within us shines from a self-existing standpoint. And today we're learning the lessons about magic and how that plays in, how playfulness is very important to allowing this to shine outward. The phrase for today is I define in order to play, measuring illusion. I seal the process of magic with the self-existing tone of form. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. Solar wind 330.8 kilometers per second. Planetary K index in the quiet range between 1 and 2. Coronal holes. Slight one here says 9th and 10th of this month, which is the next 2 days. We should be feeling some effect from the solar wind coming off of this coronal hole. M-class flare possibility has gone up another 10%. Now we're at 70. X-class is up to 15 from 10. Geomagnetic storm activity has gone up as well in the higher latitudes from 15 to 20. So if you got a camera, I'd have it ready, because you never know what kind of images we're going to get from the sky when these solar activities pick up like this. And then on the Jewish calendar, today is a 10 Tammuz. The daily thought for today is, if it's broken, from the upcoming book, Wisdom to Fix the Earth. If you see that as broken, fix it. If you cannot fix all of it, fix some of it. But do not say there's nothing you can do, because if that were true, why would this broken thing have come into your world? Exactly. Exactly. We need to fix things, my friends. You know, bad things happen when good people say and do nothing. That's what's going on in the world today. Not just here in the United States of America, but in the world. Bad things are happening. We can see them. We can see bad things. Yes, we're very aware of the positivity that's out in the world and the positive direction we can take things. But there are many individuals who are not focused on taking things in a positive direction. And for those people, I'm sure that you have compassion for them, as I do. I feel bad for people that they can't get out of the rut that they're in when I see them going through the same problems over and over. I feel bad for America when I see America being lied to and believing that those lies are truth. I feel bad for this country. I feel bad for the people of the world that are being deceived. And I keep wondering why good people aren't doing anything. Why good people are allowing all of this. Why, despite all of the works that we've had talking about the dark forces out there that try to influence humanity, why we still, in this day and age, are still being fooled on a whole. It's mind-boggling. But we're going to address some of those issues in just a little bit. Before we do that, we're going to get to our UFO news. That's up next. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. This first story here comes to us from Gudalajara, Mexico on July 4th. Donut-shaped UFO. This interesting video of a donut-shaped object hovering in the sky above Guadalajara in Mexico was recorded Friday, July 4th. It's a 4-minute, 16-second video. There's our object in question. Looks like the picture. Alright, I'm just going to zip through here. Alright. So there you go. I'm going to move on. I have a lot more to get to. UFOs allegedly landed in Dordogne, France on July 5th. Here we have 3 ships right there. 1, 2, and 3. The interesting video of 3 UFOs allegedly landing in a forest was recorded in Dordogne, France. The witness report: I filmed 4 UFOs over a forest in Dordogne, France. It was during a beautiful sunset. I looked between 2 houses and discovered the nice sky. When I saw these objects, I had my Canon 700D in hand. Hopefully I could record quickly. I think these objects were there a long time, probably a landing indeed, since the 3 objects seemed to descend and get behind the trees. I couldn't know more about this event. This is a ghost village, only 50 inhabitants in the area. None of them was outside to witness these UFOs with me. Okay, and here we have a 1-minute 45-second video of the sighting. Okay, and there's our objects in question right there, coming from the ground. So yes, he understands and thinks that something might be landing there because, well, we use our eyes to observe. Okay, moving on. Next, we're going to go to triangular formation hovering above France, July 7th. There's a nice one, nice bright lights. New video of bright lights in triangle formation hovering in the sky above France. This footage was allegedly recorded on July 7th. Well, look at that. That's, now in comparison to this, look how big this thing is. That's pretty good size. Helicopter's not quite sure what it is. It's just hanging there. Pretty cool. Good shot. Okay, the Berwyn Mountain incident, UFO crash, UK. What makes the Berwyn Mountain incident interesting today is that UFO investigator Russ Kellett has come up with fresh and new information. Both Kellett and Lumley are convinced that they have evidence of Britain's equivalent to the Roswell mystery. When a UFO was said to have landed in New Mexico in 1947, the U.S. military is accused of having kept the craft and the aliens aboard, and it's hidden ever since. London, the Royal Air Force RAF pilot shot down a UFO that was threatening Britain, and Whitehall covered it up, according to a new book, The Berwyn Mountain Incident Revealed, penned by Sven Lumley. Lumley claims that soldiers took the records to be analyzed at a secret location after the alien craft was blasted out of the sky over North Wales in 1974, according to the Daily Star report. According to Lumley, government officials hushed up the incident for fear of causing intense public alarm. The investigator claimed that 3 UFOs were spotted over the Irish Sea in 1974. Kellett added that out of the 3 UFOs, 1 headed towards the Berwyn Mountains and it was shot down. Alright, we have a 44-minute video here for you to check out. Talks all about close encounters in Britain. And I'm moving on. Alright, y'all know who Richard Dolan is. Well, here's a piece that you might want to check out. It's 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 24 seconds. says it says UFOs for the 21st Century Mind with Richard Dolan and Catherine Austin Fitz. Dolan and Fitz offer fresh insights and everything connected to UFOs in the book and in the video interview below. Ancient aliens, modern encounters, abductions, channelers, the politics and cover-up, the black budget world, the bizarre science, the social dimensions, the future, and much, much more. Towards that end, Dolan gives a practical insight on how to distinguish and investigate UFOs in today's world, where we are flooded with claims and videos of all types. All right, so check it out. See what you think. And next, we had a couple of crop circles. This one here, I hadn't seen this one before. It said it appeared on the 29th. Well, this one's very intricate, isn't it? Look at that one. This was in Dorset, UK. That one is very, very intricate. We've got a 5-pointed star in the middle. We have something showing us a connection here. You can see what looks like a connection with these three. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, what, half moon circles. Not sure what those represent. But it's very fascinating, huh? Very, very fascinating. And from this crop circle, we go to another one. This one was found near the Sussex, UK on the 3rd of July. Look at this one here. It's the Long Man of Wilmington. There we go. Looks like, from this angle here, it almost looks like there's some wings, don't they? Got a star in the middle. Alright, not wings from this angle here. Alright, looks like definitely got a pentagon type shape with a pentagram in the middle. We got 1, 2, 3 rings outside of it. 4. Very interesting. So there's our UFO news for today. Lots of interesting images, crop circles, things to consider, what's going on. That's the UFO news. I will be back momentarily. So stay tuned and we shall continue on.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, shit.
Underground is where they live. In the bases that are secrets live. We're not supposed to.
Alright, let's continue on. Continuing on. Alright, so if you've been listening to the show for a while, you've heard me go over a variety of subjects. At times I was very heavy-handed with the conspiracy theories, and then I got away from the conspiracy theories and focusing on other subjects. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. However, I'm not going to throw the ideas of what's going on out there with these conspiracies out the window and never talk about them again because, well, that's just not me. I'm not wired that way. When I see injustices in the world, I need to point them out. That's part of the issue that we all are dealing with. When we see something wrong, we need to point it out. Today, something just hit me, and it's a daily thing, you know. How are we so fooled? Why are we so unable to see what's going on in the world? And let's just look at America, okay? Why are we so unable as Americans to see what's going on here? How is it that there was such a desire to win that the Democratic Party or the Republican Party will tell whatever lies necessary just so they win, or they'll turn a blind eye? I don't get it. I don't get it. We're supposed to be people, but we've divided and segregated ourselves into these groups which make no sense whatsoever. You know, we have gone through situations in America where we have fought to avoid segregation. I thought we were doing a good job, but then you look and you see how we've segregated ourselves in so many different ways. And I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Asian, I'm this, I'm that, I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm this, I'm transgender. We are pigeonholing ourselves into a corner, which is very, very dangerous now. And now we live in a world where we continually hear that somebody is complaining that somebody said something bad and hurt their feelings. Somebody said, "Oh, I saw something over there," and they described what they saw. It was whether it was black or white or red or whatever, and then you got somebody saying that's racist. We have two eyes. We observe things in the world, and we use our words to describe the things that we've observed. If we see things that are a certain color, we describe it that way. It's easy. If we see a group of 10 men, and all the men are all different colors, and you say to somebody, "See that guy over there?" Someone's going to say, "Which guy?" Or the guy in the jeans. Well, they're all wearing jeans. But when you get specific and you point out, say, "How about the guy there, the Asian guy?" Oh, now people know who you're talking about, or the white guy there, or the black guy there, or the Mexican guy. We use words that describe what we observe to help ourselves communicate in the world. But to have all of these silly racist terms which are being associated, it's just wrong. It's wrong in so many ways, and not only the racism, but the ways that we fight over what's going on in the world. The fighting over this presidency. Presidents lie. That's what they do. Administrations lie. The Bush administration lied, and just like they lied and people said, "Oh, he's telling the truth," the man in office right now in this administration is lying, and you still have people that are supporting him despite the lies. And I know that people that are supporting what this administration is doing, if you had kids that were doing the same thing, I know that you wouldn't tolerate that one bit. Yet we tolerate it as Americans. Why? Are Americans afraid of what's going on? Seems to be, because Americans are too busy thinking that we're exceptional. We're not exceptional. We're exceptionally stupid right now. We're exceptionally at the bottom of the barrel in all the statistics, science, math, history, any of the subjects that are out there. We are not even in the top 10. Okay? So if you think you're exceptional, tell me, how are we exceptional by being in the top 10? How are we exceptional when every time there's an election we talk about the lesser of two evils? What exceptional country puts the lesser of two evils up? You put up the best that you have to offer, the cream of the crop, the best of the best. We in America need to pay more attention to what's going on, because we're being lied to left and right. And because the lies have come and fooled us once and twice and 3 times and 4 times and 5 times, and I don't even know how many times we've been fooled, because it's happened so much, the powers that be are just putting it blatantly in your faces. They don't even care anymore. They're just putting it out there because they know that you're going to buy the lie. Well, I'm tired of buying the lie, and I'm tired of watching good people out in this country buy the lies and be affected by the lies of this country. So I'm going to speak up about that today, and if you have issue with that, I'm sorry, because I'm sure out there you are tired of the lies as well. I'm going to point out a couple of things that you need to know about what's going on in the world right now. Down in the borders, we're having all kind of issues. I have no issue with people coming into America whatsoever. I think that's the idea. But there is a system that is in place. So when people enter this country, they're checked to make sure that they're not bringing diseases into this country, that they're not bringing terrorist mindsets into this country. So we have an orderly system that is supposed to work, and yet we don't have it working. It's going crazy right now, and there's all sorts of people crossing these borders, and we're hearing all kind of problems that are going on. Now we hear stories that the feds are showing up down at the borders, not to protect the American citizens, but to protect the illegals who are coming across, to protect them from the protesters who are saying they shouldn't be doing this. Our feds are protecting this. Why would that be? Why would our federal government stand up against the American people when the American people are standing up for the law, the policy? Why aren't the feds doing that? Well, here's an article. Obama advertised in January. Today's July. That's 6 months ago. Obama advertised in January for escorts to resettle 65,000 illegal children months before crisis began. Here it is, federalbizops.gov website. Escort services for unaccompanied alien children. Call it the smoking gun, proof that the Obama administration knew and likely colluded with activists and foreign governments to engineer a massive wave of migrant women, children, and teens across the Rio Grande. I'm going to leave the article for you to read, okay? But there's just one incident that seems kind of strange, don't you think? Why would Obama do that? Well, we could see that there's been a number of lies from the beginning of this administration to now. What lies? If you don't understand the lies, then I'm going to suggest that you perhaps need to reevaluate what a truth and a lie is, because you don't know. Okay? A lie is when you say something and do the opposite. That's what's happened with this administration. By the way, it's happened with other administrations as well. This is the one that's currently in power, so we're not going to look at the others. We're going to look at what's taking place right now in front of our faces. Okay? We have lies taking place in front of Americans, and Americans being hurt. Americans that I know are being hurt. Americans that you know are being hurt. I can't sit back and watch that anymore. I'm going to focus on the positive place where we're going to go, but I'm going to point out, hopefully, that maybe some of these Americans that are being hurt out there might realize now is the time to get with the program and stop believing all the lies. So you saw the one advertisement for people to help resettle 65,000. That was in January. What's going on now is what is a result of what was advertised back then. Okay? This has been engineered. It's not just by coincidence. Now, another thing I want to bring up to you, which I'm not hearing other people talk about in great number, ISIS. ISIS. What is this ISIS group? Well, we're told that ISIS is associated with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, as we know, is our CIA. They evolved from the CIA. All you have to do is look up the history of where the Al-Qaeda came from, database. They're spread out into the world. Al-Qaeda is our CIA, but they're in with other people, with other countries. Now they've spread to ISIS. But Josh, how could that be? Why would our government do that? Because our government does it all the time and has been doing it for a long time. A long time. Now here's something I want you to see. This is a website. It's called ISIS. ISIS provides worldwide security, intelligence, training, and, hold on, let me open this, and training to government and private enterprises. ISIS is the strategically positioned across the globe with highly credentialed management team and personnel. We have superlative track record for delivering exceptional service and support across the most demanding of our clients in the most challenging of circumstances. Click on clients. Let's see who some of these clients are of ISIS. Well, we go down here. We have, what do you know? We've got multinational forces in Iraq. Look at that. They support the Department of Defense. The Iraq Coalition of Peace. I mean, they're out there in Iraq where we're heard that this is going on. But let's look at about ISIS. ISIS is headquartered outside of Fort Huachuca in Sierra Vista, Arizona. They also have a Washington, D.C. office located in the Ronald Reagan building. I'm going to leave this link for you to check it out, but what a strange coincidence that an organization, a covert organization here in America that provides support out there in the area of the country where ISIS is, and now there's an organization out there called ISIS who happens to be connected with Al-Qaeda, which we know is connected with our CIA. Who could have seen this coming? Can you put the pieces together? Are you able to see? Or am I just talking blindly right now? Am I just talking to deaf ears? Because this is going on in this country. There is a collapse which is being set up that has been engineered. This isn't just happening by random chance, folks. This is an engineered event. Engineered. And as long as Americans continue not to believe what's going on, maybe what Americans need to do is start talking to more of those who are outside of America, because I'm pretty certain that the news that you're getting outside of this country is totally different than what we're getting here. And I bet that you can see clearer about the injustices going on in America than we can, because the propaganda machine in America is just fooling people left and right. Here's a piece I want to play before we continue on with some Urantia. This is a piece. It's Brother Nathaniel. I haven't played any Brother Nathaniel in a while. This is called Has America Ceased to Exist? It's a good question. I think we all need to ask this, because it certainly seems like America has changed drastically. There's one thing that Obama did do. He said that he would drastically change America. He has done exactly that, because it doesn't look the same as it did before he started going into office. It doesn't look like it at all. And here we have this man that we don't know anything about, who the records show when he was adopted was listed as Muslim, who doesn't seem to have the same ideals of American citizen, who has been associated with people who have been interested in the overthrow of America. All of these things, and you put them in with understanding of what's going on, you start to see that this is an engineered event. I want to give Obama the benefit of the doubt, but every time I hear the man tell another lie, it's hard for me to do so, because it's difficult for me to rationalize giving the man a benefit of the doubt when all he keeps doing is telling a mistruth. What's the latest one? Well, has he spoken today? How do you know Obama's lying? His lips are moving. How do you know a politician is lying? Their lips are moving. Okay? Our administration is filled with liars. George Bush, huge liar. Before that, the Clintons, the other Bushes, on and on and on. Brother Nathaniel here, talking about has America ceased to exist. Here we go.
Has America ceased to exist? The question was put to financial advisor Doug Casey. Here's what he said.
I'm extremely pro-American, but America has ceased to exist. It's been replaced by the United States, which is just another of 225 nation states that covers the face of the earth like a skin disease.
He could mean many things, but the question intrigues me. Let's frame it differently. Does America serve its own interests or the interests of a tiny minority? Let's look at foreign policy. We support terrorists in Syria, yet oppose the same jihadis in Iraq. We're waging a war on terror, yet we murdered Saddam Hussein, who crushed terrorism in Iraq, and we now oppose Assad, who's fighting jihadis in Syria. We're fueling strife in Ukraine, yet we demonize Putin, who's promoting peace, sanity, and reason.
Проявляются системные дисбалансы в мировой экономике, финансах, в торговле. Продолжается размывание традиционных нравственных и духовных ценностей. Вряд ли остаются сомнения в том, что однополярная модель мирового устройства не состоялась. Народы и страны все громче заявляют о решимости самим определять свою судьбу. Тем не менее, надеюсь, прагматизм все-таки восторжествует. Нужно избавиться от амбиций, от стремления устроить мировую казарму.
Who's pushing America into creating this world garrison? Names like Newland, originally Noodleman, Kagan, Crystal, AIPAC reveal a tiny minority that puts Jewish interests before America's. Why are the same ones who incited war in Iraq with their lie of weapons of mass destruction appearing all over TV, calling for more war and more Gentile U.S. soldiers sent to their deaths? You see, Jews don't send their own to die in their wars. If we look at domestic policy, it's the tribe all over again. At U.S. Treasury, we have Jacob Lew and David Cohen, Undersecretary for Terrorism, piling sanction after sanction on Christian Russia. Although U.S. companies are protesting the sanctions on Russia as bad for business, Cohen and Lew couldn't care less. Sanctions are good for the Jews, and who cares if they're bad for everyone else? Enough of this insanity. If we're ruled by the insane, that's what we get, insanity. Doug Casey says he's pro-American, yet he's giving up the ship.
I wouldn't waste time trying to turn around a supertanker. That is what the U.S. government amounts to. You're doomed to failure and perhaps being squashed by the supertanker in the process.
If America is a supertanker, then it hasn't ceased to exist. It exists as a super synagogue whose walls reach to London, to Kiev, all the way to Tel Aviv. Christ called Jewry the synagogue of Satan. It's organized, it's global, it's evil, and America exists within its walls. That's why Washington has become the enemy of Christ. The tanker doesn't have to sink, but throw the synagogue overboard.
All right. Good words from Brother Nathaniel. Indeed. We really need to look at this, folks. Look, presidents are just puppets. I know that. You should know that. Anybody who spends time really researching on how things work understands that. Behind the president, there is a shadow government. That government doesn't change from president to president. That's why the positions and the platforms stay the same. But presidents are put in place to divert you away from the issues. And over the course of the time they're there, they are puppet what they're told to say. And then the media has just failed people so much. I've never seen a time in life where the media has been so against the American people. And to watch American people being dumbed down, it's sad. It's very, very sad. So for all of these reasons, we need to let all of this nonsense go. And we need to focus on that spirit. We need to focus on the new world, the new direction, the new place, because there's nobody rushing to fix the other problem. All we can do is be aware of it. Be aware that it's crashing. Be aware where it's going. And then focus ourselves on being in a positive direction so that all of that stuff can drift away and that we can move forward with the new reality that's being created, with all the positivity, that we step out of all of that muck and that nonsense. I don't want to get caught up in that. If they want to keep playing that game of lying to people, great. But I'm not interested in being lied to. And I'm not going to pretend that their lie is the truth, because it isn't. All right. Let's jump over to the book of Urantia. Today, take a quick look at the Garden of Eden. You can see it's a long area here. Start off the cultural decadence and spiritual poverty resulting from the Caligista downfall and consequent social confusion had little effect on the physical or biological status of the Urantia's peoples. Organic evolution proceeded apace, quite regardless of the cultural and moral setback which so swiftly just followed the disaffection of Caligista and Dalagasta. And then there came a time for the planetary history almost 40,000 years ago when the life carriers on duty took note that from a purely biological standpoint, the development progress of Urantia races was nearing its apex. The Melchizedek receivers concurrently in the opinion readily agreed to join the life carriers in a position to petition the Most High of Adinia, asking that Urantia be inspected with a view to authorizing the dispatch of biological uplifters, a material son and a daughter. Okay, and now this is going to bring us into Adam and Eve. It says, on a normal planet, the arrival of material sun would ordinarily herald the approach of a great age of invention, material progress, and intellectual enlightenment. The post-Adamic era is the great scientific age of most worlds, but not so in Urantia. Though the planet was peopled by races physically fit, the tribes languished in the depths of savagery and moral stagnation. 10,000 years after the rebellion, practically all of the gains of the prince's administration had been effaced. The races of the world were little better off than this misguided son had come to Urantia. Only among the Nordites and the Ammonites was there a persistence of the traditions of the Dalmatia and the culture of the planetary prince. Okay, for almost 100 years prior to Tabmantia's inspection, Van and his associates from the Highland headquarters of the world ethics and culture had been preaching the advent of a promised son of God, a racial uplifter, a teacher of truth, and a worthy successor of the traitorous Caligista, who the majority of the world's inhabitants of those days exhibited little or no interest in such a prediction. Those who were in immediate contact with Van and Amadon took such teaching serious and began to plan for the actual reception of the promised son. It says the committee on location was absent for almost 3 years. It reportedly favorably concerning 3 possible locations. The first was an island in the Persian Gulf. The second, the river located, subsequently occupied as the second garden. The third, a long, narrow peninsula, almost an island, projecting westward from the eastern shores of the Mediterranean Sea. The committee almost unanimously favored the third selection. The site was chosen, and 2 years were occupied in transferring the world's cultural headquarters, including the Tree of Life, to this Mediterranean peninsula. It says material sons, the biological uplifters, began their sojourn of an evolutionary world. Their place of abode is often called the Garden of Eden because it is characterized by the floral beauty and the botanic grandeur of Urantia, the constellation capital. Van well knew of these customs and accordingly provided that the entire peninsula be given over to the garden. Pasturage and animal and husbandry were projected for the journeying mainland. Of animal life, only the birds and the various domesticated species were to be found in the park. Van's instructions was that Eden was to be a garden, and only a garden. No animals were ever slaughtered within its precincts. All eaten flesh by the garden workers throughout the years of construction was brought in from the herds maintained under the guard of the mainland. At the center of the Edenic Peninsula was the exquisite stone temple of the Universal Father, the sacred shrine of the garden. To the north of the administrative headquarters was the established. To the south were built homes for the workers and their families. To the west provided the allotment for the ground of the proposed schools of educational systems of the expected son, while in the east of Eden were built the domiciles intended for the promised son and his immediate offspring, and the Tree of Life. In the center of the garden temple, Van planted the long guarded Tree of Life, whose leaves were for healing the nations, and whose fruit had become so long sustained him on earth. Van knew that Adam and Eve would also be dependent on this gift of Urantia for their life maintenance, and they once they appeared in material form. The material sons of the system capitals do not require the Tree of Life for sustenance. Only in the planetary repersonalization are they dependent on this adjunct to physical mortality. It says after the first garden was vacated by Adam, it was occupied variously by the Nodites, Cudites, and the Sutites. It later became the dwelling place of the northern Nordites, who opposed the cooperation with the Adamites. The peninsula had been overrun by these lower-grade Nordites for almost 4,000 years. After Adam left the garden, when in connection with the violent activity of the surrounding volcanoes and the submergence of the Sicilian land bridge, the eastern floor of the Mediterranean Sea sank, carrying down beneath the waters the whole of the Edenic Peninsula. Okay. It says when the plans of the material son went astray, Adam and his family were not permitted to carry the core of the tree away from the garden. When the Nodites invaded Eden, they were told that they would become as gods if they partook of the fruit of the tree. Much to their surprise, they found it unguarded. They ate freely of the fruit for years, but it did nothing for them. Okay? So that's what I'm going to leave. I just left you bits and pieces for today about what was going on in the Garden of Eden. Links there for you to check it out, read further. I'm going to move on to this article here. This is from Michelle Walling over at In5D. Why does truth seem to change? In a world of infinite possibilities and timelines, we are creating a reality every fraction of every second as we make choices in our daily lives. The awareness of time traveling through choice brings the new possibility that was true one day but may not be true in the future ever again. This hologram we call life is comprised of fractals of geometric patterns that are vibrating at a certain speed that determines a particular sound frequency. These sound frequencies can be translated by our eyes to our images. These images can feel like they are solid thanks to the sense of touch, and we can further explore a world with sense, smell, and taste. As we choose one thing over another, a timeline is created for the choice we made, as well as the choice we did not make. This happens in a minute level in life as well as on an expanded level over multiple lifetimes, with each choice interacting with the possible future. Life is a fluid movement through fractals of endless possibility. The one constant that encompasses choice is the cycle of time created to move from one group of possibilities to another. As we find ourselves not only moving astrologically from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, we also find a larger cycle of creation outside of that ending and a new cycle of creation beginning. All cycles converge into a zero point where they can be expanded into infinite choices again. This can be likened to sand in an hourglass, compressing in the middle until it falls through the bottom. Once the hourglass is turned over, all sand molecules or timelines converge to move through the opening in the middle of the middle and expand outward as they have more space. This unstoppable movement of sand towards the centered destination causes an infinite urge to find out what the truth is in order to make informed choices. More information provides clarity, which gives the tools necessary to fulfill our innate desires for peace and a harmony in life. So what is the truth? Well, if our timelines continue to change, how are we able to discern what the truth is? This is one of the most confusing things about awareness that we are faced with. The best way to discern whether or not something is your truth is to see how it is working for you at this particular moment in the now. Following your body's cues can help you make better choices toward the end results that we innately feel is right around the corner. If you are raising your vibration in unison with the planet, you may feel like you are balancing, clearing with periods of rest. As the planet begins to accelerate her vibration faster than ever, it becomes necessary to keep up with her by spending more time with yourself in awareness of how your body is accepting the change in vibration. It becomes much easier to paddle that extra way, to get into a position to ride the wave rather than be tossed and turned in the undertow. Eventually, both ways lead to the shore, but planned effort and maneuvering makes the difference in the experience. Just jump here. It gets into talking about the need to be able to hear the truth. It says sometimes the truth hurts. Have you ever felt like you were sure that you were making the right choice, only to find yourself in a world of hurt and disruption? Sometimes we end up second-guessing our decisions until we are able to look back and see all the clearing that occurred in our lives, when we find that the ending one relationship allowed for a better relationship to manifest. Ego versus humility. The human ego was designed for protection in a third-dimensional vibration awareness. As the veil begins to dissolve, we begin to see things for what they are. Transcending the ego is necessary. It says until we have the tools to make informed choices, we continue to create possibilities that may not end up in ideal circumstances. Since we are all connected to those choices that we did not make with some degree of separation, if this choice affects someone else in a traumatic way, then we may feel this trauma in this timeline. Okay, let me jump to the end of the article here. It says how one person can affect the whole. All of creation in the universe is a holographic nature. Not only is one of our timelines a fractal of a timeline, but our essential source, is a fractal of the universe. No matter how far we zoom into the pattern, you always find the same pattern within the whole pattern. Each fractal broken down infinitely will always reflect the whole. When one fractal changes its pattern, the sum total of the whole changes along it. The transformational power that each one of us has can be found in the heart space. Love is the energy that can change this reality. It can dissolve fear and shed light on things that have been hidden. When love breaks down the wall of separation to the most minute, dense existence that we are currently experiencing, this hologram, it lifts up everyone and everything together as a whole with it. Do you realize the power of a human being? With this knowledge, how can the responsibility manage your thoughts? With this knowledge, how can you responsibly manage your thoughts and actions to make a difference for those who cannot see the truth? It's a good question. That is what we are all dealing with. How do we share with others? The best thing to do is just to share, to stop being afraid. We go through life on a daily basis and we question why people don't say things. Because they're afraid. What are we afraid of? We're going to get killed? If we say something wrong, someone's going to come and kill us? Big deal. Life goes on. We're here to share the truth. And I think we'll find out that if we share the truth, that there won't be someone out there coming to kill us. There'll be more people understanding the truth. Imagine, 20 years ago, if we had known the truth about what was going on, how life would be different. Imagine if we understood the truth of what really happened on September 11th, 2001. If we really, really knew, if we could look past all the lies, imagine where we'd be in the world today. And all these other false flags that come up, imagine where we'd be. We have to look at the truth. And that's what this whole Sagittarian idea is about. This unconscious mind that's coming up under the surface is about truth. Perhaps that's why I'm talking about truthfulness today, because it's so important. And as you could see, some of the themes of today's show have been about truth. I didn't plan it. It just came up that way. Because when there's something that needs to be discussed, the universe rallies around it, and you find that there's many sources and many examples that subject is very important. Here's a message today from the High Council of Orion. Here we go. after the commercial.
Resistance versus Allowing, Channeled Ascension Message, from the High Council of Orion.
July 5, 2014. Channeled by Holly Hawkins Marwood, transcribed by Holly Hawkins Marwood.
Greetings, dear ones. We are the High Council of Orion. Our message today is one of resistance versus allowing. As you know, there are many on your planet at this time who are speaking about this very topic in a variety of different ways. The reason for this is that it is an important distinction to know and understand as you move forward on this path, to have this greater understanding of the energetics of the world around you. As you move into this place of wanting more, desiring more, perhaps even on your human level being fed up with what you have seen happening over and over and over again in your life. You desire more. You desire to move past the pattern, which is appropriate and timely for you and your world at this time. So often the awareness of wanting something different and desiring something different becomes so strong that what the human response does is push away that which you don't want. You find yourself saying, I don't want this anymore. I hate this. I'm tired of it. I don't want this happening. I don't want these types of people in my life. I don't want these jobs, and all of that, as you hear, is said in the negative, but it's also said from a point of resistance. The next logical place to go is, well, then I'm not supposed to resist what it is that is. In a sense, that's true, but we're going to take it a step further. We want you to look at what are those things that you're feeling you don't want in your life, or that you really wish were changed. Instead of looking at it from the don't want, push it away resistance side, we invite you to look at what it is on the opposite side of what it is that you wish to be experiencing. What is it that you wish to be experiencing? For some of you, you know what you don't want, but you actually aren't even sure yet what it is that you do want. Examining your beliefs and your desires to decide what it is that you do want. What you will find is what you want isn't always the exact opposite of what it is that you say you don't want in your life anymore, or you don't want in your experience anymore. It may be something that doesn't look like it's the exact opposite of that. We invite you to take some time to meditate, consider, and journal what it is that you wish to be achieving. For that process, in and of itself, starts breaking down the walls of resistance. As you do and you start identifying and seeing what it is that you really are desiring that's on the other side of the resistance, or that which you're resisting, and then take yourself one step further and begin to allow that new experience. It all sounds very simple, yet identifying what it is that you really want and then choosing to pay attention to the allowing, and, in a sense, ignoring that which you're resisting is what will begin to create movement for you, begin to create that shift towards what it is that you feel you are really desiring and wishing to experience in this time, in this place right now. We're going to take this a little step further, because when you're talking about the things and feeling the things that you don't want and its resistance, when there's resistance, you know this from physics, things aren't moving. There's something impeding movement when there's resistance. Resistance comes about when you're pushing things away and not wanting what is. What is the truth of your vibrational reality. When the truth of your vibrational reality is coming up and you're trying to push it away, you've got this push and pull between the truth of your vibratory reality and what you feel that it is you want. That creates the resistance. Resistance doesn't create movement, it creates static. As you begin to identify what it is that you wish to have and begin to put energy into where you want to go instead of what you want to push away, and then take it further into the allowing. How do you do that? Envision. Tell yourself. Affirm. Work with your energy field to literally say to yourself, I allow myself to move to this new place of my vision, this new place of my desiring. What you're really doing is shifting your vibrational attention to something that feels better, to something that creates movement, and reduces the resistance to what is. As you start paying attention to where it is you want to go because you've identified what it is that's on the other side of the resistance, you don't even need to know for sure what it's going to look like and show up like. As you work with your energetics through affirmation and visualization and journaling and everything you want to do to allow that experience to come into your vibrational reality, you begin to create movement. Have fun with this. Be playful with this. Enjoy the journey of exploration for you to discover what it is that's on the other side of the resistance, and then see what happens as you begin to shift into this place of allowing for that new reality to vibrationally get closer and closer and closer to the experience that you are having in your life. Be blessed. We are the High Council of Orion.
All right, there's a good message for today. Again, fits right in with everything we've been talking about. So go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to do our meditation for today. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale again. Another deep breath and exhale. Now, I want you just to contemplate all the things we talked about today. To understand that we live in a world filled with all sorts of ideas, a world of duality that we have chosen to be a part of. And as we look through the world, we find that there are things that which we allow, and those are things that we resist. And so just imagine yourself looking at the world and see if you can understand the things that you allow into your life. And now, take a moment to contemplate the things that you resist. And ask yourself, are the things that you allow in your life allowing you to experience the life you wish to have? Or are the things you resisting the things that would allow you to have the life that you wish to have? And as you contemplate this question, you begin to understand it's a little bit of both. That oftentimes we allow things into our lives that aren't very good for us, and we push things away that would be good for us. And we realize this is just a habit because of all the chatter out in the world around us, encouraging us to make the wrong choices. So we're going to turn and we're going to focus our attention. We're going to imagine that we're in a race car, and that race car is heading for a wall, for a crash. But instead of focusing on the direction of the crash that is about to happen, we're going to turn our focused attention away from that, back to the road. And we're going to keep turning that wheel, and we're going to keep turning our head, looking in the direction we want to go. And as we do so, we find that the car turns with us in the way that we were looking. Those who were looking at the wall crashed into the wall, but you and your car turned away from the wall and are continuing along. So understand from that lesson, our vision takes us where we wish to go. So as we think about the things in the world and we realize there are negatives in the world, things we do not like, we realize that those things have a purpose. For they teach us something about who we are if we are truly paying attention. So we look at the things in our life that we don't want to have, and we just simply let them go and let them be. We look at the things in life that we're resisting. We acknowledge, first of all, that we are resisting things. Maybe we don't understand why. So we simply ask the universe to give us a reason to help us to understand why we are resisting. And we just are aware of the lessons we get from the resistance, so we give thanks to that part of ourselves. Thank you for bringing us to this wall of resistance so we could see a way to get past it. And imagine that resistance in front of you like a wall. And imagine yourself climbing over that wall or walking around that wall, till eventually you get on the other side and you find that the thing you were resisting didn't need to be resisted, for it was there all along, simply as a doorway for you to walk through. And we find the things that we've been resisting have been the love and the positivity, the faith. Where all the time this world has encouraged us to embrace the doubts and the fears, the violence, the wars. But we realize that those are not things that we need. Those are not things that help the earth. And while we have resisted that desire to step forth and do the right thing, we now find that that is the only thing we can do. So we let go of all the resistance and we embrace the love. We embrace the faith. We embrace the strength. And as such, we continue to focus on the positivity of where we want to go. And we see all of this negativity fading away. The doubts, the fears. We see those on this planet who have caused harm changing for the better, realizing the error of their ways. And for those that are so far gone that they can't understand the error of their ways, we just watch them fade away, disappearing from this planet, along with all of the other darkness and doubtful, fearful things, till eventually this is a planet of only faith, love, and positivity. So let's imagine ourselves living on that world of positivity with all the other darkness and lies and fears gone. Let's imagine two separate planets, and that planet of all of the fears and the wars, let's just send love and compassion to all of those who choose to be upon that planet. For we know that they are simply resisting the peacefulness that they want. Let's give thanks to the strength we have within ourselves for being able to see where we want to go and be able to move past the resistance. And let's ask ourselves now, what do we want to experience as we move forward? And think of all the good things in your life that you want to experience. Open your arms and just allow all of that energy to come to you. And with open arms, receive this energy of what you want to experience in your life and know that it shall be. And just send love and positivity to all of those aspirations, to all of those things you wish to experience. Let's send love and positivity to every person around this planet, that they also experience the love and the positivity of the things that they wish to experience. And let's just see this as a day of positivity where people rise up against the injustices, move past the doubts and the fears. And as we do this, let's imagine our space brothers and sisters smiling down upon us. Let's imagine our spiritual brothers and sisters all around us, seen and unseen, smiling, knowing that we are moving forward with strength. Let's contemplate the words of this affirmation. My attitude grows happier and healthier every single day. So allow your attitude to grow in a world of positivity. Let's take another deep breath. Exhale. And just bring your breathing slowly back to the present moment. And let's come back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. I felt like I was a little all over the place with some of the thoughts and ideas, but it was just one of those days, just going with the flow, the energy around me. We can make a positive change in this world, my friends. We already are, by thinking positive. Just go out there, keep the faith, keep finding ways to keep positive, and just disregard all of the nonsense that's going on in the world. Give thanks to it because it served a purpose, but it's time for us to move and evolve past that. All right? Let's all do it together. Remember, we're all in this together. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. I love you. Keep loving each other. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.